So literally every diet out there promises to be the next big thing. They all want to be the next big secret. Keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, carnivore, vegan, low fat, low carbs, this smoothies, this amount of shakes. You just do this, you do that. You stand on your head for 10 minutes a day. Just walk. It's like there's so many different things out here. But here's the truth, none of them have magical properties. This video very much so piggybacks off the last one on thermodynamics, but they all work for the same reason, and that's that they create an energy gap, a caloric deficit. And once you understand that, you're in full control. Some people want to believe that this is old school. It's not. There's nothing old school about thermodynamics. It's not even a question, it's a law. And so, is it possible? Here's a question for you. Is it possible to get fat as a vegan? Yes, it is. Very much so. You can eat in a caloric surplus as a vegan. How about as in keto? Is it possible to get fat in keto? Yes, it is. If you eat too much, if you eat over your maintenance long enough, you will absolutely get fat. You might lose glycogen and water for the first 2 weeks because your carbs might get depleted, but you will stall if you're eating at or above maintenance. It does not matter which one you do. In fact, even fasting, you can get fat in. You think, how do you get fat if you're doing intermittent fasting? Well, during your eating window, you eat way too many calories. If you eat a couple Domino's pizzas and you go to McDonald's, you're going to get fat. The thing is that they, for the most part, create an energy gap or caloric deficit. For instance, it's kind of hard to like overeat when you're so stuffed from keto or paleo, or to overeat in your eating window, or if you're low fat, low carb, these different things, they make it in a way where it's just palatable for a short period of time to be in a caloric deficit. So the real reasons why these diets fail and why they also work initially is because every diet creates one thing: fewer calories consumed than what burns. That's the only mechanism actually behind weight loss. It should be so freeing when you hear that. I know people get frustrated because, like, no, I've tried this. You haven't tried it the way we're going to go through it. But you're like, I've done this. I've downloaded my fitness pal. It works for a little bit. And then it gets to a point where I'm only eating 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And then I can't lose anymore and I plateau and I can't eat less than that. We don't need to eat less than that. All of them follow this. They go through a strict diet, so they follow rigid rules. They get quick results, so you get initial weight loss, and then you get restriction fatigue. Rules become unbearable. They are not something you can live by in everyday life. They're not practical. Then you have rebound eating, compensatory behavior, and then guilt and restart. So you start blaming yourself and then you try it again and then you try something else. So why they stop working? Because rules are not sustainable when life happens. You go on vacation, you're stressed, there's social events. The diets are going to break. And then you end up blaming yourself, not the system. The reality is that all of them were just a way of trying to introduce thermodynamics with a new shiny hood on it. Every diet is just a different path to the same destination. So let's zoom out and take a look at the pattern that connects them all. So keto, just going through these. And by the way, I'm not against any of these. If you feel really good on one and they make life easy for you, then by all means go for it. But keto, it removes carbs, lowers insulin, but you naturally eat fewer calories. Now, when you're in ketosis, one of the benefits is that since your body becomes fat adaptive, it becomes easier to burn fat, but only if you're in a caloric deficit. So then when you're in that caloric deficit and your body needs to cover the energy gap, it takes it from fat. Intermittent fasting, it shortens the eating window. Fewer meals, fewer calories consumed. Vegans, it eliminates animal products and most high calorie foods then disappear, fewer calories, but there are other issues with being vegan: B12 vitamin, you have energy issues, etc. Carnivore, so opposite approach, but same result: less variety, less snacking, fewer calories. And then low fat, which is just silly, removes high fat foods, eliminates calorie dense options. Once again, you have fewer calories. So if you notice here at the miracle pattern, all of these are not miracle diets. They all just create an energy gap in a different way. The difference between what your body needs and what you give it is what we call an energy gap. And they all do this in just a slightly different way. So, how do you build your own sustainable approach? Well, once you understand the real mechanisms, you guys can stop chasing labels and start building your diet. I know people are like, yeah, but I'm a vegan, so I can't eat that even though I really want that burger. It's like, that's your body telling you that you're doing the wrong thing. Why do we need a label? Why does our diet need a label? Why can't we just be balanced, whole food, clean eating, and track what we eat? I don't understand this. Now, some people, they get to a point where they've gotten so good at tracking, they don't need to track anymore. But for many of us who were recently fat, I don't trust me. I don't trust my tracking. I might think that I'm doing pretty good, but I'm not. You can't go by based off if you're hungry because you could be in a calorie surplus and be hungry. Yesterday, we went to a place called Lou Malnati's Pizza. And when they do deep dish Chicago pizza. So I knew that we were going to be eating there for lunch. So for breakfast, I just had like a 230 calorie protein shake with 42 grams of protein. Or for breakfast, I had that. And then for lunch, we get there, and one thick slice of pizza is going to be almost 600 calories. It's got a lot of cheese on it and carbs and sauce. I ate that pizza. It's the first time that I've had that pizza like that in 7 months. I haven't eaten pizza like that in 7 months. And I didn't gain any weight because I still finished my day in a caloric deficit. But I'll tell you, when I finished that pizza, I looked at my wife and I said, I'm not full. To me, it felt almost like throwing kindling in a big burning fire that's already blazing. It just gets gobbled up because it doesn't have satiety in it. It doesn't have a lot of, it wasn't high in protein. Yes, the cheese has protein in it, but the meal itself, the calorie to protein ratio just wasn't correct. If I look at it, like I'm trying to eat roughly about 180 to 200 grams of protein a day on about 1850 to 1900 calories. So just roughly 10% of all my food needs to have be protein. And when you get a ratio like that where you're 600 calories and you're only like 19 grams of protein, it's just off. Your body knows that, hey, I didn't get enough. Now, the old me would have grabbed more pizza. Instead, I let everyone else eat their pizza. And you know what I did? I ended up running over after and grabbing a quick protein shake from the Quick Trip. Not right then and there. When everyone was done on the way home, I just swung by, ran in, grabbed a little protein shake, something to get my protein up with a lower amount of calories. And I'll tell you, I felt full right away. I felt good again. I didn't feel like I missed out. I got to eat my pizza. I got to enjoy with everybody else the deep dish pizza. I just ate it nice and slow with everyone else. But because I'm in my head, I know what my burn rate is. I was figuring this out and it wasn't off balance. I had a great time, but the pizza did not fill me. It kept me, um, it held me over till I had my protein shake. What's funny is the protein shake had less calories in it, but filled me more because of the protein level in it. So you personalize your preferences. You eat carbs, fat, protein, whatever combination feels balanced to you. Honor your schedule, your culture, family traditions, etc. And then two, you understand your numbers. So you eat at maintenance, your weight's going to be stable. You eat below maintenance, you're going to lose fat consistency. You eat above maintenance, you're going to gain weight. Now there are things that we're going to do if you're it's different if you're a guy versus if you're a girl, etc. But when you're working out, whether you're a man or a woman, protein being high is important, which there's going to be a lot of stuff in here on exercise and working out. Protein's going to be super important for you. It's going to help you feel satiated. And so I would say, because I looked up the stats, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy, they still recommend 1 pound or 1 gram of protein per lean mass, even if you're a female. So you got to figure out what that is. If you got like a Hume or Withing scale, it'll tell you what your body fat percentage is. And then you just subtract that percentage from your overall weight. And that's going to be your lean mass. And then I'm still going above that. So like my lean mass right now is only like 133 pounds, but I'm still eating about 180 to 200 grams of protein just because I really want to feel satiated and build muscle quick. But, we're just building our own approach to this. So number three is you guys stop fearing foods. Pizza, ice cream, pasta, they are just numbers in the equation. Nothing is off limits when you understand balance. So if you want to go out with your girlfriends and have a glass of wine, you go ahead, by all means do that. If you want to go with the guys and have a beer, you do that. Just factor it in. Now, let's say that you're like, there's not enough calories for me to actually do that because, one pasta is 700 calories or 500 calories. I can't do that. Save up for it. If you know you're doing that at night, have a little bit of protein in the morning. Have not a little, have a lot of bit of protein in the morning. Something that is, you're getting 40, 50 grams of protein for only a few hundred calories. Compensate in the morning. But that's how we should be eating. That's how we should be doing things because we don't, or look at maybe some people do better. I personally do better looking at my calories on a daily basis. Some people do okay saying, hey, you know what? Tuesday I got this thing, but I got nothing going on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to eat my calories. I'm going to overeat a little bit, 200 to 300 calories, 400 calories on Tuesday because I'm going out with these people, but I'll make up for it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And as long as you actually do it, then that's fine. And you won't go backwards. It's just thermodynamics. And you might just say, okay, it's going to go get stored in the bank because it is. It's going to get stored in your body for just a little while, but then you'll buy it back out. So that's how you have to do it. Now, keep in mind, I understand hormones make this all more complicated, but it does not ignore thermodynamics. We're going to get into hormones in a completely different lesson. It does not. And actually, on our YouTube channel, there's a video called You Are Not Above the Law. It'll take you in. My hormones were horrible. My metabolism was wrecked and I was able to fix it. So I'm not speaking this from like a grandstand. I'm saying this as somebody who's been through it. So breaking this yo-yo cycle for good, yo-yo diets thrive on confusion. They need you to believe that there's always a new trick or forbidden fruit. But once you guys see the pattern, you realize there's no wagon to fall off. You're not failing diets. The diets are failing you. Like, if you had a night where you ate a little bit too much and you put too much in the bank, then we just need to take a few days to take that out. You can't fail unless you just decide to give up on the system or if you just decide to give up on the law of thermodynamics. If you just don't care, that's the only way you fall off is when you quit caring. Any system that only works when life is perfect was never built for the real world. So if you can't do what you're trying to do sustainably all the time, then it's just not for you. When you build your own flexible approach based on understanding calories and not fearing them, this makes everything easy for you. You break the yo-yo for good, and now you have sustainable peace and you're in control. If you mess up tonight, you can make it up tomorrow. And that's the way to do it, to be balanced. So it's freedom through understanding that bad diets are not evil. They aren't evil. They're just zoomed in too far, missing the big picture. So if you feel better on keto, do keto. If you feel good vegetarian, do vegetarian. I personally don't feel the need to subscribe to a label. I like to have a lot of veggies in my life. I like to have a lot of meat in my life, etc. But like my mother, she loves eating more vegetarian and then just having a little turkey or this or that on the weekends as she feels it. Great, do that. It just doesn't matter. You can do all that as long as you're fitting in and hitting your macros. Now, here's the problem that you're going to find. Let's say you say, hey, I feel really good though when I'm vegan or vegetarian, but you're hungry all the time. That's not sustainable. You got to find a way to fix that. Now, if you say, I'm going to fix that by eating a ton of beans, okay, that's fine too. If you can do that within your caloric maintenance calorie balance, if you can do that within your balance, go for it. But it's going to be really hard to hit your protein goals if you're in that sort of balance. But here's something that you need to think about, because some people think, I thought carbs were terrible. If you put, for instance, here's my example. Let's say that because we've used this illustration of money or dollar or the bank. Let's say that you give somebody a 10 at the store and they're breaking it for you and they give you back 10 ones. And one of the ones is a little dirty. What do? Do you say, I don't want this, or you throw it out? And you're like, no, I'm just going to spend it. Well, that's kind of how it works with the macros in your food. Like, let's say that you were to eat a French fry from McDonald's, which is terrible for you. I don't recommend ever going to McDonald's, but I'm just using this as an example. If you're still in a caloric deficit for the day, your body needs food. It needs fuel. So it says, hey, this is what I got to work with, and it's going to burn it up and it's going to use it for something. That fry is no longer existing in your system. The only way you will get fat from it is if, because it didn't make you feel full, now you actually go eat more food and you keep raising and raising your daily caloric intake. The reason I say that is to try to give you, and maybe it was a bad example, but try to give you the idea that carbs are not the enemy. In fact, we'll do an entire lesson on carbs because when you're building muscle, there's actually scientific evidence that carbs can help you to be able to absorb water into your muscles. It can hydrate your cells. It can increase your performance. The glycogen, which gets stored in your liver and in your muscles, will help you with your performance in a person who is healthy and not insulin resistant. Now, if you are insulin resistant, it's not a bad idea in the beginning to make sure that if you are eating carbs, that you're in this caloric deficit, but also that you're lifting weights with it. And I'll go through why when we get to the carb lesson, which is coming up. Because you can still absorb carbs if you are insulin sensitive, if you implement a few things in your life. But all of these diets, they are just zoomed in too far, so you're missing the big picture. And that's because humans like to be spoon fed. If I just do this and live within this boundary, I get to do this. Problem is those boundaries are not realistic all the time. Thermodynamics rule all of these diets. So understanding that simple truth, it gives you real freedom. So you're going to have this freedom to eat the food you love, freedom to stop starting over and ending and stopping and starting, but freedom to finally make peace with your food. So that's the end of yo-yo dieting. This video ended it for you because from now on, you're no longer guessing. You're just understanding how your body works. And that's the important part. Now, one last thing that I just want to say about this is that, people will say, yeah, but this isn't always true. Look at, for instance, the energy flux people or this or that. No matter what, all of these diets create, even the people who did the energy flux, which means they ate more calories than what their body consumed, burns, but then they exercised up to that level. Their body, in processing this food, actually generated a thermic effect, which created an energy gap. Everything that you eat has a thermic effect. For instance, if you eat calories from protein, your body is going to naturally use 20 to 30% of the calories that you just ate just processing the protein. So that means if you had 100 calories of pure protein, your net caloric intake is really only about 70 to 80 calories because your body is going to burn 20 to 30 calories just processing that protein. So there's this thermic effect that occurs in our body. So you are still creating an energy gap. That's another reason why protein is so great, because not only is it satiating, but our body ends up being in a more net calorie deficit than we thought, even though we're not ruining our metabolism by not eating because of that thermic effect that ends up occurring.